All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. I want to show you a video that I ran across, and just to kind of tee this all up. Recently, Joe Rogan had a guest on his show. His name was Bono, and better known as the lead singer for the group U2, and memorably as the largest turd if you've watched any of the South Park episodes where they did a mockery of Bono.
Old crap counts. Bono never took a second crap that beat yours.
Because this is somebody that does need to be mocked on a regular basis.
Bono was never the record holder. He's the record.
Bono he's done a lot when it comes to allegedly having ties to World Economic Forum, by the way.
Get him out of here!
That Live Aid thing and all. People think, oh, he raised so much money for everybody. Let me tell you something about Bono. He's not what people think he is.
It's not true!
And South Park kind of nails it with that whole episode of who was the biggest turd, and come to find out it was Bono. Anyway, watch this presentation that Alex Jones gets. We're kind of moderated a little bit. Now check this out.
Bono tried to go on Joe Rogan's podcast and say that Elon Musk and Trump have killed 300,000 people cutting U.S. aid money. Total lie. He's the one, famously, that steals 99% of the charity money, over $8 billion he's raised to feed starving Africans. He is a master criminal, and his lies have completely blown up in his face.
There, my little crap. Don't cry.
And I guarantee he flew into Austin to be on Joe's podcast last week with U.S. aid money and stolen charity money. Guaranteed there should be an investigation, but it shows that these criminals are desperate, and that's why they're crawling out from underneath their rocks. The spotlight of truth is on these cockroaches.
300,000 people have already died from just this cut-off, this hard cut of USAID.
For sure, it was a money laundering operation. For sure, there was no oversight. For sure, billions of dollars are missing. In fact, trillions that are unaccounted for, that were sent off into various... They don't even know where because there's no receipts.
Here, do you want the biddy?
The U.S. Agency for International Aid is a CIA front on record to manipulate, control, and overthrow governments. It literally promotes the transgenderism, pedophilia, you name it, worldwide, the entire anti-human system. And Bono is the most famously corrupt individual the last 30 years with the UN, the WEF, and Klaus Schwab and other globalists like Bill Gates, who he's very, very close to, running around having huge event concerts to raise over $8 billion since he's been doing this. And it came out 15 years ago, they were giving 0.8% of the money in actual aid, less than 1%. So he apologized and now gives 1.2% from his one foundation.
Dude.
So the joke is, it's literally 1%. So he named it right. That at least is truthful. It's a sick joke. So he goes on Rogan and tries to say 300,000 people have died with no evidence. Rogan calls him out for it. Totally not true. USAID has that acronym, but it doesn't engage in real food aid. The whole globalist program is to cut off the fertilizer, have global lockdowns, cut food production for depopulation. So he crawled out from under a rock because his foundation gets a lot of money from USAID. He didn't mention that. And then he steals it and gives it to himself and his friends. So Joe nailed him, but I'm going to talk to Joe later down for some information. So hopefully on his next show, he can really go after him, because I don't think Joe knew about the fact that he steals 99% of the money he raises. I mean, that is just epic, massive level corruption. And the guy's arrogant. But in the old days, they get away with that. Now people are onto them. They understand it.
Does Bono want the biddy?
So they're trying to say, oh, 300,000 people died with no evidence. But it was the UN and the globalists did global lockdowns that killed over 60 million people from starvation, not from the virus, but from the lockdowns it caused. Then it caused third world to collapse and giant replacement migration to take place, which the UN then organized and controlled. Then the UN, UNICEF, goes around and raises tens of billions a year, claiming, oh God, record level starvation, when they're the ones carrying out the depopulation operation. So they are just beyond hypocrites. They are master criminals that pull on our heartstrings, like the $100 million the Annenberg Foundation raised on that Palisades fire aid, and has given none of it to fire victims. It's the left, folks. They're premeditated, total master criminals, and that's the facts on Bono, who can burn in hell. Because we know who you are, you little maggot.
Yes, he likes the biddy, doesn't he?
Just recent report it's not proven, but the surveillance enough suggests 300,000 people have already died from just this cut off, this hard cut of USAID. So there's food rotting in boats, in warehouses. There is this will fuck you off. This will not, you will not be happy. No American will, but there is, I think it's 50,000 tons of food that are stored in Djibouti, South Africa, Dubai, and wait for it, Houston, Texas. And that is rotting rather than going to Gaza, rather than going to Sudan, because the people who know the codes or for the warehouse are fired. They're gone. And so this, I don't know, what do you think? What is that? That's not America, is it?
Kept the crap in my office. Nursed it. Fed it biddy.
Well, they're throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
Right.
Right. This is the problem. The problem is, for sure, there have been a lot of organizations that do tremendous good all throughout the world. Also, for sure, it was a money laundering operation. For sure, there was no oversight. For sure, billions of dollars are missing. In fact, trillions that are unaccounted for, that were sent off into various, they don't even know where because there's no receipts. The way Elon Musk described it, he said if any of this was done by a public company, the company would be delisted and the executives would be in prison. But in the United States, this is standard. When Biden left office, when it was clear that Trump won, in the 73 days, they spent $93 billion from the Department of Energy on just radical loans, just throwing money into places.
Right.
And there's no oversight, no receipts. Like the whole thing is, there's a lot of fraud, a lot of money laundering.
That's why he's able to do so much, but still seem like such a piece of shit.
That pretty much sums up the Bono controversy, if you actually do. And, it makes you wonder what made Bono so popular, the band U2. What involvement have they had? Because it seems like whenever mainstream media gets behind something, you can see just like trinkets of corruption that exist exponentially. I recall, U2 haven't been relevant in a long time, other than just being there. And so for some reason they were like the opening act for that Sphere thing in Las Vegas that's used for mind control in that town. Everybody knows about that, knows what I'm talking about. But anyhow, what is going on right now is the world's largest and most well put together propaganda. See, Biden. Anyways, propaganda like machine. Misinformation out the wazoo. And, Bono obviously is tapped into that boomer society that you see out there holding those signs, those old people, really, really old people, which old people, you're cool. I love you guys. But, the boomer old people that are like, holding the Biden-Harris signs and standing in front of traffic. That's what, Bono's tapped into that. And so he's trying his best to rally that base. Anyways, guys, thank you all for watching. Have a great rest of the day. Peace out.